What's going on, guys? Corey from Digital Trends here, and we're taking our first look at the Pixelbook Go, which isn't exactly a predecessor to the original Pixelbook, but does have some key changes that we're kind of excited about. So let's take a look. So the first thing that you're going to notice is that this is a bit of a different material device. You have magnesium here and this kind of rubber texture on the bottom, whereas the original Pixelbook was a glass and metal affair. You're still going to get some nice upgrades like the top-facing speakers as opposed to the rear-facing or perhaps under the keyboard ones on the original Pixel. So the other thing that you're going to notice about the Pixelbook Go is that it is a little bit thicker than the Pixelbook, but just barely, and it is actually lighter at about 2 pounds thanks to that magnesium casing. Like we mentioned, we have that 1080p screen on here, but it is now 16:9 ratio as opposed to that 3:2 that the original Pixelbook had. So that 16:9 ratio is a lot more traditional and familiar to people to use, and just easier to format things on the screen side by side. You're also going to get your requisite things like a backlit keyboard. You have an ambient light sensor that can change the lighting on this up to 400 nits. And you have USB-C on one side with a 3.5mm headphone jack, and on the other side, another USB-C port. So 2 total. So in terms of how the keyboard feels, it's got a pretty good spring to it. It is a little bit soft. I am pretty used to the MacBook keyboards, which have that extremely short travel with the butterfly keys. But this is actually a nice feel to it. Reminds me a lot of the original Surface Book keyboard, but just a little bit more responsive. The trackpad has a similar thing going, where it's very easy to click everywhere, very responsive, glass trackpad on here. So it feels pretty good, it looks pretty good. I do like the not pink color. You also have just black. Those are your only 2 color options, but it's kind of a nice look. It's very reminiscent of the original Pixel 3's not pink color and color scheme. So base configuration, we're looking at 64GB storage, 8GB of RAM, and an M3 processor, which on Chrome OS should be just fine. It's still going to be very fast, as we saw in the original Pixelbook. But if you need the best of the best, you can step all the way up to an i7 with 16GB of RAM, 256GB of storage, and a 4K monitor. Google tells me that any of these configurations should last about 12 hours, which is more than plenty to get through your entire workday. You can also charge it for 20 minutes and get 2 full hours of usage. So you might be wondering how much this costs. So the M3 model with 64GB of storage and 8GB of RAM costs $649, which is about $150 less than the original Pixelbook, while you can also upgrade to the 4K, 256, 16GB for $1399. So most pre-orders are available to do today. 4K models will come in the near future, and models will start to ship on October 27th. Of course, we're going to get these 2 models in, test what we can see, and let you know. So stay tuned to Digital Trends to find out more.